All right, welcome to the Fantasy Six Pack Network. My name is Joe Bond, founder of FantasySixPack.net. With me tonight to start the show, Corey Pieper, to cover some Week 15 waivers for offense. What's going on tonight, man?
Good day. Can't complain too much. Long day at work, but got time to talk waivers here with my guy. Got a good week of fantasy football, and hey, we have hit the playoffs, and I think just about every league, maybe some 10-team leagues, get another week of the regular season, but otherwise, fantasy playoff time. Here we go.
Yeah, man. I think I've made the playoffs in every league except one.
Nice.
No, two. Two of those teams got just obliterated by injuries, and I literally stood the pros with Joe's league. First two picks: Christian McCaffrey, Cooper Kupp, came back around. Chris Olave hurt at some point. You're not gonna win a 14-team league when your top three picks barely play.
There's sometimes you can't do a whole lot about it. You do everything right, and it's just injuries can really ruin a good teams, man.
It looked like a really good team on paper, and for a week when all of them were healthy, we crushed. And then it was
this is my team. Yeah,
you're like, yeah.
Oh, it's there and it's gone.
That was good.
It's gone.
It was already too late at that point, but all right, man. What's going on, Albert? Glad to see you, man. But all right, let's get things rolling here with our Week 15 waivers. Start off here with Mr. Sincere McCormick, a guy who I was a little hesitant on rolling into this week. Clearly should not have been. If it weren't for return yards and Scott Fishbowl, would have gotten a 0.3 performance out of Abdullah, which I did in another league that I started him. So pretty awesome. Yeah. So what do we like about McCormick, man?
I think he looks like the best running back that we've seen all year on the Raiders. That includes Alexander Mattison when he was healthy. That includes Zamir White. Zamir White didn't do much of anything. And I guess that's the only real question here with the Raiders is, does Mattison return? Does Zamir White return and gunk up the system? Because I got the stats up there. Those are the last 3 weeks. Those are the only 3 weeks Sincere McCormick has touched the ball for the Raiders this year. And you can see the yards per carry average. That's great. On a team that struggled all year to run the ball. I don't think that Zamir White has not touched that number. I don't think Alexander Madison's touched that number. Amir Abdullah was okay, but Sincere McCormick looks really good out there. Over 5 yards a carry yesterday against the Chiefs. There's some tough matchups on there, and he's performing. If Zamir White or Madison return, I think it's more likely to be Madison. And even so, I think we've seen enough. This kind of reminds me of Tyrone Tracy earlier in the year where, okay, we had an injury to Singletary. He got his opportunity. He looked better. We said, you got to go out and get Tyrone Tracy. This is kind of the same thing here. Is Sincere McCormick still available in your league? I would go add him. I'm not sure on the matchup next week for him, but if you're giving me 15 carries, I don't think it's going to be any of a tougher matchup. So I think he's probably in the flex range, something like that, even in the playoffs here. So go get Sincere McCormick.
Yeah, I'm looking at it. They play Monday night against the Falcons, so that's going to be tricky because we may not know if Madison's going to start. And if Madison is healthy and he's active, then
it's
does
tough.
cloud things, right? That clouds it. So maybe unless we get a clear picture there, it might be one of those I wouldn't risk it. There's no bye weeks anymore, so that's something I don't know if I would pull the trigger on.
I think you got to go at him at least.
Yeah,
get a chance. I would be fine adding Sincere McCormick. I probably will try to add him in a couple of teams that are still going for me.
Yeah, he got snatched up in every single one of my leagues, so no dice there for me. But let's move on. And Anthony, I know you have a question sitting out here on our YouTube. We got Steve here waiting in the wings to do our IDP stuff. So we will make sure we get to that one with Steve later on. But let us get through these offensive ones first. I promise you, though, we will get to it. So second up here, we got Patrick Taylor Jr., and we've got the stats on the screen here for Patrick Taylor. And then you've got a little screenshot here of something from the Mercury News saying that Isaac Guerrero, feels great. Mm-hmm. Whatever that means. I'm hearing foot sprain, which can mean a lot of things. So we don't know yet.
But, okay, so last week we came on and said, get Isaac Rando. He delivered. I mean, if it's only a 1 week thing, it was awesome. 78 yards rushing, 2 touchdowns. He had I think 50 yards receiving on 2 catches, and he missed what could have been another touchdown. But then the foot sprain. Yes, I have the stat there, just precautionary. I feel great. The Niners play on Thursday Night Football this week, so he's going to have a very short turnaround here to try to get healthy. I trust almost nothing the Niners say when it comes to injury news because of what we've dealt with this year from them. So, first off, players always are more optimistic than they typically end up being, and I don't trust the Niners coaching staff. So, look, it's the same thing. Yeah, if you just dropped all your fab or a lot of your fab on Isaac Rando, I'm sorry, I'd keep him. But if you didn't get Isaac Rando, go ahead Patrick Taylor here, because he stepped into the fourth quarter, 7 carries for 25 yards and a touchdown. I don't think that the recently added Israel Abanikanda is probably even familiar enough with the offense to really Taylor's been there longer, so I feel more confident that he's going to step in here. And if we just know that what this system can offer, we talked about it last week, he's probably a top 24, 25 running back just because of the system play.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I'm kind of. I was not able to get Garando anywhere. I didn't have enough fab left, and I wasn't able to beat out anybody for him. And I mean, yeah, I lost one league because of it, but I'm gonna still make the playoffs. It looks like, but so it's looking like it might not bite me in the ass as much as I thought. So Patrick Taylor is my next guy up as well. So I like that call. So next up here, Tank Bigsby, a repeat from last week, and we've got his Week 13 stats where it wasn't so great. Week 14, still not awesome, but much better still. Tank Bigsby still under that 50% roster line, it sounds like.
46% right now is what it has him at on Yahoo. And yeah, we talked about it last week, and I know you kind of pushed back that, he hasn't been doing anything, and you were right. And I said, I just want the touches. I think that he was the only player that could get us the touches without an injury in front of him. Travis Etienne was healthy yesterday, and Tank Bigsby drastically outcarried him. I believe that snap count actually went Etienne's way there, but Tank Bigsby had 18 carries. Travis Etienne had 4 for 20, 18 for 55. It's still extremely inefficient. That's not changing. Etienne did have the 4 catches for 50 yards, and Tank Bigsby had the 1 for 7 there. But when they get inside the red zone, they give it to Bigsby, and he ran it in for a touchdown. So, as far as, we're now here in week 15 of fantasy, and the waiver wire is getting a little thin. If you need just a trustworthy running back who I think trustworthy in the fact that I know that he's going to get the ball, he is not going to, you mentioned like Amir Abdullah, that ain't going to happen with Tank Bigsby. He's going to get the ball. They are still going to ride with Mac Jones, it sounds like. They have the Jets this week. If I need a flex play, I'm fine running Tank Bigsby in that matchup. After that, it's the Raiders and then Tennessee again. Tennessee's a tough run defense, really tough. So we got it there, 3.1 yards per carry. I think you can get to 4 yards against the Jets. And if you're giving me 15 to 20 carries, that's a usable running back.
Yeah. Well, I'm actually shocked that his rostership did not go up. Very, very interesting there. Yeah, I mean, weird enough, like in Scott Fish, I actually started ETN over Bigsby just because, I kind of thought they might get a little down in that game. And so, they might pass the ball a bit more, but I mean, it's such a low scoring game, and Bigsby literally scored the only touchdown in the entire game. So there you go. I think ETN still got enough use that it wasn't a total,
earlier in the year, Bigsby was returning kicks, which was making him super valuable in that format. I did not pay attention if he's still doing that or not.
Not yesterday, that's not for yesterday. Sure, because I did not get those massive points that I would have thought I would have gotten for anybody returning kicks. Sure. But it will be Bigsby going forward for me. Yeah, if I have to pick between those two, but hopefully I will not have to. Next up here, we got Ray McCloud, the Atlanta Falcons' third receiver, but getting a lot of volume here.
Because there's a lot of volume with the way that the Falcons are throwing the ball here. There's just a lot of pass attempts. They're falling down early. I said Kirk Cousins is turning it over. We just got a touchdown here from the Bengals by, I think that's Jamar Chase Brown. Yep. Anyways, they're falling down early. Kirk Cousins keeps turning it over, and then they have to play catch up. So yesterday, Atlanta, it looks like, threw the ball 37 times. If you're going to throw the ball 37 times, you're going to be able, you can sustain multiple pass catchers. Now, he threw for 344 yards. Cousins did not throw a touchdown, but Darnell Mooney went for 142 on 6 catches. Ray McCloud went for 8 for 98, and Drake London went for 5 for 70. Those are all playable. Of course, Drake London and Darnell Mooney are much more owned. You could make the case those are top 20 receivers right now. Still, both of them, including Darnell Mooney. But Ray McCloud, I got it there. In between, they have a bye. 6 targets, 12 targets. The last 2 weeks are the most yards he's had all season. He's the check down route. He's the shorter underneath route. Darnell Mooney's getting down the field. If you're in a PPR league, I think you can play Ray McCloud. And they have an awesome schedule. Vegas, the Giants, and the Commanders coming up. So those should be all competitive games, and they should all be games where this team keeps throwing the ball. I kind of like Ray McCloud.
Yeah, and I mean, he's becoming the more reliable, like, underneath guy than, typically you would think like a tight end's kind of that like safety valve. Kyle Pitts has vanished, dude. Like we're done. So like it's turning into like Kirk Cousins is starting to trust Ray McCloud a lot more, and rightfully so. Pitts has just not been Kyle Pitts. I was buying back in this year, basically for the first time almost ever, and I didn't get him anywhere. Because he was going super early because a lot of people were excited, but man, it's been bad. So I'm officially done with Kyle Pitts. Never again. Next up here, we got a double here. Isaiah Davis from the Jets and Braylon Allen also from the Jets.
Well, I just put him there because I know I answered some questions in the DMs and stuff like, oh, do I start Braylon Allen or so-and-so? And I felt pretty good about Braylon Allen getting 70-80% of the workload of Breece Hall when we heard Breece Hall was out. And I was wrong. I mean, straight up. It was nearly a 50-50 split. I have it there. Braylon Allen, 11 carries, 43 yards. He had 4 catches for 38. Isaiah Davis, 10 carries for 40 yards and got the touchdown. And then he got more targets. He only caught 3 of them for 27. But that is nearly a 50-50 split. And there's no reason to think that's going to change here, barring if Breece Hall returns, of course, this changes. But I mentioned in the article, what's the incentive for the Jets to push Breece Hall back here? Like, this team's already got eliminated from the playoffs. You're playing for absolutely nothing at this point. I would tell Breece Hall, get healthy. Let's see what these rookies have to offer us. And in that case, Braylon Allen was above the 50% threshold. Otherwise, he'd have been on this list too. But Isaiah Davis, I think, was less than 10% rostered. He's at 11, excuse me. So go out and add Isaiah Davis. That's as long as Breece Hall's out, both of those two are flex options to me.
Yeah, I started hearing rumblings about Isaiah Davis late in the week. I didn't quite believe it though. I was like, really? Like, I mean, Braylon Allen looked pretty solid. Yeah. He hasn't been like, all the advanced metrics weren't really blowing up, in Allen's favor, but like, the eye test to me kind of passed with Allen every time he kind of got the ball and really got enough workload to make a difference. I don't know, but there was a lot of coach talk about Isaiah Davis late in the week, and it was like, really? I mean, I moved him pretty far up in my rankings, like around, I want to say like 36. He probably actually finished higher than that, honestly. But it just because like there was a lot of noise in his favor, and it was like, well, we're dealing with a lot of bye week players. I'll take a chance here. So I picked him up in one league, did not use him, really wanted to. It was actually Scott Fish. It was him, ETN or Bigsby. And I mean,
they all pretty good actually. Like,
they all did kind of the same. I want to say Bigsby might have done slightly better than everybody, but not by much. So, but yeah, I'm sure Davis will be picked up in a lot of. I mean, I think actually he got snatched up in another league because people were just desperate with running backs this week. Not only the bye weeks, but all like the late like injuries we got from a bunch of people. Like, it was brutal. So, all right. Last up here, we got Kendre Miller from the New Orleans Saints. I'm so mad at Kendre Miller. You want to take a wild guess why?
As an Alvin Kamara owner, I know why you're mad, man. I feel this pain as well.
This number right here.
What is? I'll talk about Kendre Miller. Will you look and see how many touchdowns Alvin Kamara has this year rushing? Please do that, because it can't. Taysom Hill did it. Taysom Hill got hurt, and I was like, okay, we're in here. Kendre Miller got it yesterday. Now, I am recommending Kendre Miller. I think that I have liked Kendre Miller. He seems like he's finally back from the hamstring injuries. Yesterday, he got 10 carries. It was the first time he's had double-digit touches since, I think, week 5 of last season. But I did not want him to steal Alvin Kamara's touchdown. But here's the question again, kind of the same thing as the Jets. What do the Saints have to play for? And we've seen them work Alvin Kamara until they get inside of like the 10-yard line. It is all Alvin Kamara.
Right.
And they've had so many injuries already, right? We got Chris Olave is out. We talked about it. Rashid Shaheed's hurt. Bob Means is hurt. Taysom Hill's hurt. Now it looks like Derek Carr's hurt. So this team, you cannot just keep leaning on Alvin Kamara here. So now that we get to the end of the season, for those of you in the fantasy playoffs,
everybody.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Now that we're hitting the fantasy playoffs, I'm not saying that you should still start Alvin Kamara in nearly every situation, but don't be surprised when more carries start going to Kendre Miller, just because they have got to take something off his plate here, and they don't want to get him hurt. 6 touchdowns on the season, and that's actually hard to believe because it does not feel like he has 6 touchdowns on the season.
It's 6 touchdowns, but he had 3 in the second week against Dallas. He has not scored.
Oh, that's right. They got like 50 points the first 2 weeks.
He has not scored since week 6.
Yeah, that feels about right.
As soon as I saw the touchdown happen, I tweeted this. You guys can be able to see it. I swear the Saints actually try not to let Kamara score.
Man.
But it's so true. Like, what does this guy have to do to get touchdowns? Like, do they not want him to get paid? He's already 29, man. Let the guy get one last big contract. So, even if you don't want it to be the guy. Like,
actively working against him,
let somebody else get it. But all right, man. That's all we got for our offensive waivers. I want to thank you for joining us, Corey.
Of course.
Let everybody know where they can find you and what you got going on the rest of the season, man.
COPIEPS on the socials there. I'm going to keep doing this waiver wire here, working at, and I'm starting to get through. We have Fantasy Six Pack. Join up if you're a baseball fan too. We have some content coming out. Joe's got some rankings out. I've got some rankings out. I'm working on some more things behind, and those will be coming out in the next couple of weeks here, I'm sure. So join up now if you haven't gotten a chance, man.
Yeah, we put out I put out my official early, like, full set of rankings. You did the early catchers, and then Connor did first base. So those early top 10 lists will be dropping like the rest of the week, or probably early in the next week. We'll just sprinkle them in. But it's good stuff. We're gonna kick into baseball season quickly here. So all right, man. We'll trade you out and bring in Mr. Steve here.
What's going on, Joe?
What's going on, man? So, hey, we have a question in the waiting room here before we get in. Anthony Duchette, 17. Who should I start? Carlton Davis, Jamal Dean, or Ugo Amadi?
Anthony Duchette plays in some deep leagues. If you're out there, invite me to that, because that's some deep stuff right there, Joe. Simply put, we're playing cornerbacks, and that's always a flimsy one. Carlton Davis is coming off an injury, so I'd avoid him. The one I want out of this group is Ugo Amadi. I'll explain in a second. But if I had a choice, it's how he wrote it, Amadi and Dean. If I had to start 2. Ugo is one of those sneaky ones. We wrote about him a couple weeks ago. The New Orleans Saints, they run a cover 5, which a lot of millennials don't know what the heck that is. It's a cover 2 5. It's a cover 2 man scheme.
Hey,
basically what they do
Madden, man,
is they have their slot. That's what they call it. Well, I don't think it's on Madden either, Joe. I think they call it a cover 2 man. When I was a the cover 5. They kind of switched the terminology around. So I don't know.
Okay.
Somebody in the audience,
It's been a while
give
for me,
message
man.
if you see a cover 5. I don't ever see it because I play Madden. But with Ugo, he plays in a cover 5 scheme or cover 2 man, however you heard it, potato, and he's the slot corner. There's only 2 linebackers there, Warner and Davis. Well, that slot corner acts as a linebacker. So if you're running the ball, Joe, as a strategy, you're probably going to run at the weakest, lightest player, and that would be the corner. So Ugo gets a lot of tackles. If you look at his stats the last couple of weeks, they're piling up. I could say this. That's the long dad version, the lecture. The short version is historically anybody who plays in the slot with the Saints, they're going to get tackles from Marshawn Lattimore, who got traded, and so forth and so forth. You're going to get points if you start a corner. It's a little bit of a cheat code, but that's my guy.
Yeah, well, that and the offense is going south, and now with no Derek Carr, it's only going to get worse. So maybe the defense will be on the field a lot. So you're going to rack up some snaps.
Heck yeah!
All right,
Mm-hmm.
First up here, man, and I had to laugh because you had a really long name last week in this first top, and now you give me another long name, and I'm like, man, I'd like shrink the font size to make it fit. Akeem Davis-Gaither. I put his week 13 stats
and
up
he's
because
playing
he's currently playing Monday night right now. So don't have week 14 stats right now. I guess we could look up his box score, but not important. What you got?
I just looked long ago. He's got 2 tackles right now. This is more of a long-term stash. People that play Dynasty know this name, not the – he's only owned in 70% of leagues. Davis-Gaither, he's actually a team captain. He's been a locker room presence all offseason. He's formerly a 4th-round pick. The team likes him. The only problem is they got good players in front of him, so he doesn't ever get to play. Well, that changed last week, what you're looking at. Logan Wilson went down. They had to clean up his knee, so he's out for the season. So this guy's going to get every down work. He's going to get the green dot, and it's exciting to see. I'm going to actually play him everywhere I can, to be honest. So this is a sneaky one. If you didn't get him last week, pick him up now. And again, I don't know how this game's going to turn out, but this is more of a long-term investment. You know what I mean? If you will, he's got a couple tackles now and there, but 13 last week, that just shows what kind of player he's going to be.
Yeah, no, good one. Yeah, I when I was looking it up, because of course, I don't study the defense as much as you. When I looked it up, I was like, this guy doesn't have that great of stats. And then I looked at the snap count. It was like, somebody got hurt. Now I know why.
That's the key. He's going to be one of those you could.
Yeah.
Holy Jewell, they call him the Outlaw Joe. I don't know if you've ever seen that Clint Eastwood movie, The Outlaw Josey. That's where his nickname comes from. He's another one of those. He's always hurt. That's his problem. But if you're playing in IDPs, you can always grab him as a bargain. So when you look at his stats, it's like he's good when he plays and he's injured half the time. I'm trying to think of an offensive equivalent. Can you think of a guy, maybe Jonathan Taylor? He's a John Taylor of IDP. But when he plays, he produces. He's an every down player. He's played. Well, I'll just give you this. The last 3 games, he's produced 29 tackles. The last 3 games, he's produced 3.5 sacks. He's played when he is healthy. He's played 90% of snaps or more, 8 out of 10 games. So he's probably going to be a league winner for somebody if they get this right, because he's very unheard of most of the time. And it's because he's always friggin' hurt. Well, he's healthy now. I like guys like that, to be honest. If I know they're healthy and they're not an IR, I plug them in, I'm going to get stats. What I don't like is guys that just kind of fester there,
Kyle's comment. Green dot equals green light.
Mm-hmm.
Like that one.
Excellent comment.
Yeah. Yeah, you mentioned the comp on offense. Yeah, Jonathan Taylor's a good one when he's healthy. Pretty plug and play there, so I like it.
I'm trying to think of guys.
Yeah, Jonathan Taylor's tough now, though, man, because Anthony Richardson steals all his goal line touchdowns, which pisses me off.
That's true, yeah.
Jamien Sherwood.
Right. So with this one, this is probably the highest player I've called all year. I try to pride myself in these late ones. He's owned in 42% of leagues, Joe. Okay. I'll tell you. Oh, what'd you say?
I said okay.
I mean, when the playoffs is coming, right? And that's an opportunity for a new season. So I'm kind of excited about the playoffs. So I'm thinking the end game here. He's only owned in 42% of leagues. So that means in 58% of leagues, there's some jackassery going on, right? He's out there somewhere. And he only starts in 24% of leagues, okay? Since CJ Mosley got hurt, we've been kind of pouting this guy up, when his roster percentage was so small. But he's getting it every single week. I think it was all the way back in week 10. We called the breakout. He erupted with 17 tackles. Well, guess what he did last week? It's on your screen. He got 18 tackles, He doesn't do much outside of tackles. He's got, I think, 2 sacks in the season, maybe a pass deflection or 2. But if you're playing in a tackle premium league like most of us do, you got yourself a player. We mentioned Akeem Davis with the dynasty stash kind of thing. This is the same kind of thing. He's an undrafted, he's an unrestricted free agent next year if you're playing the dynasty game as well, not just the playoffs. He's going to land somewhere that needs a linebacker. Think of like an Eagles or maybe the Chiefs if they want to move on from Bolton. But he's a guy that's going to get 95% snap shares. He's done that on all the games except for 2 this year. So he's probably – the point I'm trying to make is he's auditioning for a new team for next year. And the Jets got nothing else to do but to just keep playing him. So just consider him CJ Mosley light, and he'll get it in for the rest of the season.
Sounds good. Next up, DJ Wonnum. I feel like this name's a repeat, but that's all good. We can do that.
I don't recall if we did. He's been well, I'll tell you what, on that note too, he's been kind of like one of those wait and sees because he's been hurt, Joe, is what it's been. Okay. We've predicted this IDP department that you have that works, all day, all night, like a sweatshop at, Kmart sweatshop, right? Okay, we've predicted the Arden Keys. We've predicted the Leonard Williamses, the Nick Benitos, the Andrew Van Wiekels, the Ode Oways, right? This is another guy in that same principle, okay? We look for snaps. Now, you're not going to get 100% snaps. We're looking for the baseline of 70, 75 each week. That's what we look for. 70, 75, it's not too much. It's not too that they'll break and get hurt, and it's not too little where they don't produce. 70, 75 is a great, healthy rotation. Wonnum's in that same vein as those other guys, okay? He's gotten the last 3 games when he's not hurt. He's got 77%, 78%, 74%. That's what we want, right? In addition to that, he's got 3 sacks in those 3 games and 17 pressures. That's what I want to see. 17 pressures. Okay, now he's probably going to be busy the next couple of weeks. You got the Cowboys, you got the Cardinals, you got the Buccaneers. All of that, suspect quarterback play. So DJ Wonnum, I'm not as excited, but I'm predicting him as probably a breakout next couple of weeks like the other handful of names that we have.
Yeah, even if you don't start him, pick him up, bash him, see what happens, Or you got worse on your bench, so. DeShon Elliott's your next up here. I put his last 3 weeks of stats up here that look pretty good.
Interesting. I like where you're going with this. So stop me if you've heard this one. This is another one of our breakouts from our IDP safety dance article, right? This is starting to be a trend. Everybody that we put in there and we highlight and we detail, they always make the waiver wire article the next week. This guy's only owned in 12% of leagues, okay? He broke out this week in the stat line. He got 13 tackles. But here's what I kind of want to allude to, okay? You're pulling the last 3 games, okay? I'm going to go back the last 5 games. This week, he had 25 box snaps. In the last 5 games, you ready for this, Joe? He has played 113 box snaps. This guy is a box nut. I don't know if you've seen the tweet of the guy throwing boxes. This is your guy right here. Consider Elliott, and this is how you win IDP leagues. You put all your value on the offensive players. You get guys like the Elliots, right? Consider DeShon Elliott, who's playing the box role. Everyone is taking Mika Fitzpatrick as a top 10 DB. Guess what he does? He plays a whole lot of free. He makes impact plays. We can't predict impact plays. We can predict tackle plays. This is one of those examples. That's why I wanted to highlight him in the IDP safety dance article. Well, here it is. It's already producing. As quick as we wrote that thing up with our feather pen, as quick as we wrote it up and submitted it and produced it, there he is already producing with 13 tackles. 113 box snaps in 5 games. That's incredible. I'm sorry. But that's why I got him on here. Get him while you can. Own 12% of leagues. You can play him anywhere.
Yeah. I think we got one more, and then we got a question from Kyle here. So we'll finish up here with Josh Metellus. And we highlighted the box snap article here on this one.
We do. And Josh Metellus is kind of a repeat, but I gotta drive this home. You have sites that are saying drop them, and I think that's hogwash. That really is. When you look at Josh Metellus, his snaps has went down. Okay, well, that's not the whole story. That's not the whole story. Okay, great. A player has snaps, but let's look at the premium stuff. Let's look at the box snaps. He's only around 70% of snaps, which is a little dangerous for a defensive back. But guess where he's playing 50% of those snaps? In the box. So he's theoretically another linebacker, defensive lineman. What did I say about Wonnum? 70, 75%. That's what we want. Guess what? Josh Metellus is right there making impact plays. So what would we rather? What would we rather? In the hand or two in the bush? Well, I don't know what's in the bush. Let me get the one in the hand, right? Josh Metellus is playing 70% of snaps. That's what they see, but they don't know the rest of the story. He's producing and making those impact plays, and we've seen that this week. He was all over the football field this week. And that's why, just looking at the box snaps on this guy, he's producing. But I just want to drive that point home. Yes, snaps matter, but context matters. Where are you playing those snaps? And that's why that article is so important. That's why it's fun, right?
This chart right here, by the way, this is the top 10 for box snaps. He's number 3 on the season. So, I'm learning
7
a lot
tackles.
from you, Steve. We're figuring it out.
7 tackles, 1 interception. The week 4, 10 tackles. Week 4, 7 tackles. And again, there are sites saying to drop him because his snaps have decreased. You're not looking at the whole story. If you want to go and read Moby Dick, read the whole damn thing. Don't read the last chapter and figure out what happened. Captain Ahab deserves you got to read the whole thing. And this is what the story is in Josh Metellus. Look for players around the ball that are making those impact plays or get beat by people that are playing the Elliots and the Metelluses and what have you.
Yep. All right. So that's what we got for the waivers. Want to hit up this one last question by Kyle here. Picked up Jordan Brooks as a bye week fill-in, but do you think he's startable in the fantasy football playoffs?
Yeah, I do. Brooks is one of those every down 100%. You can play him anywhere. I don't have any issues with Brooks. My thing is I don't necessarily get these high premium guys. That's why I like to go a lot deeper. I like to grind. But yeah, he's a high premium player. You can get away with him almost every format. I don't see why not. Top 15, maybe even better. But yeah,
pick him up. That's pretty good. So, all right, Steve. Well, thanks for jumping on tonight to do our Week 15 IDP section of the waivers. Let everybody know where they can follow you and what else you got going on the rest of the season, man.
You can follow me on Fantasy Six Pack. My Twitter handle is IDP Hunter. As you know, I do the IDP Safety Dance article. I do the Waiver Wire article. And then I got the Every Down Linebacker article over in RPO Network. I do the injuries. And then I do, for the IDP Center, I do the Defensive Lineman of the Week to start the week. So I got 5 articles and 2 podcasts going. So I'm high octane for the next 3 weeks. And then after that, I'm gonna pull a Rip Van Ginkel, Rip Van Winkle, and I'm gonna take a nap for 3 weeks. Always gonna be able to find.
You said that last year. Then you hit me up like 3 days later with like a list of content. So
yeah, I did. I
was like, "Have fun, man." Then you hit me up, and I was like, "No, you're taking a break." You're like, "Yeah."
I get lonely real quick.
It's all right, man. We love you. Thanks for jumping on, man. Everybody,
my pleasure.
Good luck with your Week 15 waiver claims, and hit that subscribe button, hit that like button if you're still around, and we will see you all next week.